All right, I want to talk today about 5 ways to uplevel your mindset, attitude, and outlook. I don't care where we are on our personal growth journey, there's always room for improvement. I know that there is for me. So, what I want to talk about today actually comes from a lot of experience because, little known fact, I used to be an incredibly negative person, always waiting for that other shoe to drop. So, something bad would happen, and my first reaction was, course something bad happens. Something bad always happens to me. So I was really kind of looking for the bad things to happen. Or something really good would happen, and I'd think it's just a matter of time before something bad happens. This is the way I lived for a long time. There was just this cynicism in me, and it definitely wasn't what I would call an up-leveled mindset at all. So it took some time. And number one, took a recognition that that's really kind of who I was becoming or who I had become. Not only was it draining my own personal energy, but surely it was draining the energy of all those around me. So I decided to change my course. And through personal development, through a lot of prayer and scripture reading, I was able to slowly change the entire way that I looked at myself, the way that I looked at others, and the way that I looked at life in general. So maybe you're listening and you're thinking, that's kind of me. I worry about, maybe being a little too negative, or I've been told I was negative. Well, then I've got some great tips here for you. You also may be somebody who doesn't deal with that personally, but you're around people who do. We can't change them, but we can change our reaction and our response to them. If they live in our household, that's what we have to do. If we work with them and we can't move on from that job, that's what we have to do. But who we surround ourselves with, otherwise we have so much power over that. And we'll speak to that a little bit as well. Okay, so let's jump right into it. 5 of those things that are going to help change your outlook, your attitude, and your mindset in general. Change them, up level them, go from where you are to where you really want to be. So number one, so I mentioned personal development. It is so crucial. We should always be in this place of bettering ourselves, our character, right? And so a couple ways to do that, just real practical ways, are books and podcasts. I mean, for me, my car, I call it a rolling university because I love listening to podcasts. So whether I'm learning about myself, whether I'm learning more about the Lord, whether I'm learning something that comes, with a business podcast. I love to learn. I'm kind of a sponge and I'm always in this learning phase. But podcasts and books are great ways to just dive into, what are some ways that I can really change the way that I think, the way that I approach life. I'm actually going to recommend 2 amazing books to you. Okay. Number one is by Craig Groeschel, and it's called Winning the War of the Mind or In Your Mind. It is such an amazingly powerful book, and he really gets into our neural pathways and how we form these ruts with our thoughts, and those ruts kind of get dug deeper unless we're very actively working to not think the same way over and over and over again. We have to be very conscious and very intentional about changing our mindset. So that's a really great book. There's also a devotional by Marshawn Evans Daniels called 100 Days of Believing Bigger. I will make sure to tag that underneath so that you can go and you can check out the notes and you can be sure that I've got the right name and the exact right name of the books and even link directly to them, because these are 2 powerful books if you're really wanting, and especially if you are a believer or you're open to some scripture being in there. These are great ways to really take your mindset and to change the way you're viewing life in general. Okay, so that's number one. Podcasts and books, working on that personal development. Number 2, this is something I talk about all the time, but I can't not talk about it right now, and that is choose wisely the people you hang out with. We become who we hang out with. We become those people. We take on their attitudes. We take on oftentimes their behaviors. We take on, we're kind of like a sponge when it comes to those we hang out with. We take on their overall mindset. We take on how they see their future. We often see our future that way. That's why when we hang out with people who are just kind of small thinkers and not very motivated to do something bigger with their life, to pour into themselves, their family, the world, and you, we kind of have a tendency to follow that same pattern unless we are working our rears off to pour into ourselves a lot of the opposite, right? It's very, very difficult. So make sure you're very mindful about who you are surrounding yourself with, because it has a lot to do with who you are, how you think. All right, so that was number 2. Number 3 is gratitude. This to me is probably the most powerful. If you are living with gratitude, if you are speaking out thankfulness, if you are writing down the things that you're grateful for, there's something that happens. It's almost magical when it moves from your head and being grateful in your head, I'm very thankful for these things, to actually speaking it out and or writing it out. Being grateful, being thankful for the things that you have, for the blessings that are all around you, is an amazing way to take the what's going on between these 6 inches between your temples right here and really start to shift and change our outlook and our attitude and our mindset overall. It's hard to be a super, super grateful person and be a really, really negative person. The two just are like oil and water. They can't live in sync. So practice gratitude. This is nothing new, but sometimes that 5th or 100th or 1,000th time we've heard something, it clicks and you go, you know what? This is the missing piece. Not because I just heard it for the first time, but because my eyes are finally opened and I'm really seeing this. We have around 80,000 thoughts a day, and anywhere between 30 to 50,000, I've seen different research on this, of those thoughts are negative. So we've got to work so hard to put in place those positive things that we're thinking about. And a great place to start is gratitude. It's just being thankful. And I want to sit with this for one more moment, because you may be thinking, what is there to be grateful for? So I'm just going to give you a few things to start with. Are you breathing right now? Are you breathing breath into your lungs? That's gratitude number 1. My goodness. The alternative is not breathing breath into your lungs. The alternative is not being here. You have the gift of life. What about sight? Can you see? Can you move your body? Do you have some mobility? Are you able to speak, to sing, to pour life into other people? Do you have walls around you? Do you have a floor beneath your feet? These are just some of the basic fundamental things, but sometimes that's where we have to start, because you know what? Life is hard. That's just our reality. Life is tough. And sometimes we do kind of have to peel back the layers of the difficult to actually understand and get to and see the good that is all around us. Okay, so that was number 3, gratitude. Number 4, watch your mouth. Watch your mouth. Boy, the words that we speak are powerful. So again, nothing haven't heard before, that we find ourselves speaking far more kindly to our best friend than we do to ourselves. We would never look at our best friend and go, you can't do that. What do you think? Maybe we would. If we would, this is definitely the episode for you. Girl, you can't do that. You need to stop doing it. You're crazy. You can't do that. You don't have what it takes. We don't do that to our friends, but we do it to ourselves all the time. So watch your mouth. The moment you find yourself, and you know what? Sometimes it comes in a joking manner. Like we'll joke about putting ourselves down, but we're still putting ourselves down. Those words going out into the world, guess what's hearing them first? Our thoughts, because they're coming from our thoughts. So don't give credence to those words. Another place I'm going to go is the wishing. So have you ever found yourself looking at somebody else in particular? So this is kind of getting into comparison a little bit, but this is where it often happens. Wow, I wish I could dance like her. I wish I had that much energy. I wish I was successful. I wish I drove a whatever car. I wish my kids would talk respectfully to me. So sometimes that wishing can be cynical, kind of like that little attitude I just gave you, or it could be, oh gosh, I wish I wish I could do that too. I wish I was like her. So really, they're two sides of the same coin. Or how about maybe one day that's how healthy I'll be. Oh gosh, I hope that one day when I'm 50 or when I'm 60 or when I'm 70, I'm going to be just as healthy as them. I hope. So I hope and I wish, those are non-action words. They're actually stall words. There is no plan of action when you say I wish and I hope, or maybe one day. They're stall words. They're not action words. So let's watch our mouth and let's change our language. And instead, let's put a plan. Let's put feet to those hopes and wishes and dreams and prayers and maybe one day. So if you hear that start to come out of your mouth, it's okay, tons of grace. It's recognition, right? It's realizing, I'm doing it again. Stop and either don't say anything, okay? Or even better, reformulate that. I'm going to learn to be an amazing dancer because you know what? I'm going to start putting in 3 hours a week on it. Okay, that's a plan. That's a plan of action instead of, I hope one day I'll be a good dancer. You're never going to be a good dancer if you don't put in the work, right? Or how about healthy? Gosh, I wish I was as fit as her. Nope. How about I'm gonna be as fit as I see her being. She's a good role model for that. But you know what? I'm willing to put in the work. I think I'm going to go and I'm going to lift some weights 2 to 3 days a week. I'm really going to start watching what I'm eating. Do you see what I mean? Do you see the difference? And that's very intentional. That's literally stopping the words that are coming out of our mouths and rerouting them to where there's actually action steps. And I'd love to take that a step further, maybe in another episode, but to take it a step further, write out those action steps and then do them. But we have to first start with the words that we're using. So watch your mouth. That was number 4. And number 5, I love this. I want you to become a woman of expectation. I want you to expect great things are going to happen to you. And there was a research that I read maybe half a year ago, and it was so powerful and it was so eye-opening. They took a group of individuals who considered themselves super happy, blessed, lucky. They were like, I'm the luckiest person in the world. Great things are always happening to me. And then they took another set of individuals who saw themselves as just kind of negative people. Yeah, I'm not super positive. I consider myself a realist, or I consider myself a bit negative, or whatever. Okay. They took these two groups of people and they put in their path kind of $5 bills, not hidden under rocks, but also not hanging from, something from the ceiling, but they put them in their path. Everybody had to walk the same path. Guess the group that found the $5 bills. It was those people who just had this amazing outlook on life and had this expectation that great things were going to happen to them. Guess who did not find the $5 bills? Those who were the opposite. They didn't see them. They just didn't see them because in their mind, just like I used to be, the other shoe was going to drop. Nothing good ever happens to me. Do you see the difference? Did those $5 bills just magically disappear for those people who were in that negative camp? In a way, sort of, simply because their eyes weren't open. So I want you to have an eager expectation. That may take some work, especially if you're not used to that or you're thinking, whoa, that's weird. I really want you to speak out daily. I wonder what awesome thing is going to happen today. And then look for it. Look for it. I want you to look for it. And when that thing happens, I would love to hear back from you. Tell me what it was. If you will get in a habit of doing that, you're going to find maybe it comes in financial blessings. Maybe it's relational blessings. That's some of my favorite expectations. When I went on a trip a couple weeks ago, I left the house thinking, I cannot wait to meet some of the most amazing people. Now, I was going to a place where I knew I was going to meet amazing people, but I wanted to meet people on my way to that place. Every person I sat next to on the airplane, I had 2 flights there and 2 flights back. Amazing, fascinating individuals. Actually, the very, very last flight back, it was a little hop and I didn't sit next to anybody. There was nobody there. But those other 3 flights, amazing individuals. It was so much fun because I got to hear about their life, and people fascinate me. And when you get outside of yourself and you just start looking for those amazing opportunities, they're going to fall on you in ways that maybe you never expected, but you're expecting the good, you're looking for the good, and the good that literally is happening all around you, you're going to start to see it, and life is going to get a whole lot more fun you're just going to be more joyful. So there you go. 5 different ways to level up your mindset, your outlook, and your attitude. These are practical, they're real, they help. And I always love to hear back from you. What did you think about this? All right. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next time.